Episode 5. We Were Never Here. Hook. What if this mall didn't trap us? What if we were never outside it to begin with? Jake ran until the hall stopped looking like halls. The tiles beneath his feet turned to dark marble. The ceiling above stretched higher with each step, like he was moving deeper into the ribs of some ancient beast. The fluorescent lights no longer buzzed. They pulsed in time with his heartbeat. He stopped only when he recognized the spot. The old Radio Shack corridor, or what it used to be. Now it was hollowed out. Stores were gone. Kiosks melted into the floor. The directory on the wall no longer listed shops. Just one word repeated again and again. Remember, remember, remember. He turned a corner and found himself face to face with himself, but not a mirror. The other Jake was standing, head tilted, face blank. Then he smiled and said in Jake's voice, but with too much echo, "You left us here, but the mall didn't forget." Jake stepped back. The other Jake stepped forward. That's when the walls flexed inward. The floor folded, the hallway spun, and Jake dropped, like the mall had swallowed gravity. Heather had stopped running 10 minutes ago. She now walked calmly through the children's section of a store that never existed. Colorful clothes hung perfectly on hangers, all her size but childlike. A cassette player played soft lullabies in reverse. The walls were covered in Polaroids of her, age 6, 7, 8. In some of them, she was smiling. In others, she looked like she was crying, though the image was too grainy to tell. On a low shelf sat a pair of shoes, her childhood sneakers. She hadn't seen those in 35 years. Heather bent down to pick them up, and that's when the girl stepped out from behind the rack. Same eyes, same mouth, same scar on her left eyebrow from falling off a swing, a younger version of herself. "I waited for you," the girl said. Heather's throat dried. "Where are the others?" she asked. The girl smiled sadly. "They're with their memories, same as you." Heather knelt. "This place, what does it want? To keep you. Why?" "Because you're warm," the girl said, touching her hand. "Because you remember. Because you hurt." Heather pulled her hand away. "I'm not staying. You never left." The walls around them rippled like heat waves. The floor vanished. Heather fell backward, into black water, choking, tumbling down. Miles stood in a room he didn't recognize. At first, the tiles were tan, the walls beige, low fluorescent lights, chairs stacked in the corner, a small TV cart on wheels. It was a detention room from high school, the same one he'd spent nearly every Tuesday in, sophomore year. A figure sat at the desk, his old principal. Only the man had no face, just skin stretched smooth across his skull. The voice, however, was accurate, cruel, dismissive. "You always talk too much, Connors." Miles swallowed. "What is this?" "Asha, you tried to warn people," the voice said. "Your podcasts, your theories, but it was never about truth. You wanted someone to notice." The walls turned dark. Muffled screams played through the PA system. "You walked back into the mall," the voice said, rising. "Because it's the only place you ever mattered." Miles backed into the corner. "Not true. You recorded the doorway." A door appeared beside the chalkboard, red, pulsing slightly. "You chose this," the voice said. "No. You broadcasted it." And then, silence. Miles opened the red door. He was standing in the atrium again, but it was empty. No fountain, no storefronts, just endless black tile, and in the center, a single VHS tape on the ground, labeled in pen, "Miles, final broadcast." He picked it up. It was warm. Lena had never stopped running. She sprinted through what once was the food court, except now it was filled with plastic trees. Fake foliage reached for her like hands. Moss curled around the straws in empty soda cups. Her heart pounded. The mall whispered, "We can give her back." She stopped. a flicker in the corner of her eye. A carousel now stood where the pretzel shop had been, turning slowly, lights dead. Music box tones played backward. And there, sitting on a wooden horse, her daughter, 6 years old, hair in braids, wearing the same blue dress she had on the day she drowned. Lena stepped forward, shaking. The child looked at her and said, "Mama?" Lena collapsed to her knees. "It's not you. It's not." The child smiled. "But I remember you. I remember everything. We can be here. Together." Lena screamed. Everything shattered. They found each other near the fountain. Not the real fountain. That was long gone. This one was made of mirrors, twisting upward into impossible angles. Jake was the last to arrive. He was bleeding from the forehead, breathing heavily. Heather sat on the ground, drenched. Lena clung to his arm. Miles held the VHS tape like a relic. No one spoke for a long time. Then Jake said, "It's not trying to kill us." Heather nodded. "It's trying to absorb us." "Into what?" Lena whispered. "Into itself," Miles said. "Into the memory." The fountain crackled. From its mirrored surface rose 4 shapes. Identical. Doubles of each of them. Blank-eyed. Smiling. Then all 4 spoke in unison. "One of you must stay." Jake stepped forward. "No. One of you must stay." They surrounded the group. Heather closed her eyes. "We won't choose." Then Jake's double grabbed him by the throat. Heather screamed. Miles rushed in, slamming the tape into the double's chest. It burned on contact. The mirror flesh hissed, cracked, split. The others joined in. Heather threw her old shoes. Lena, a sketchbook full of memories. Jake, a photograph. Each item dissolved into the doubles like acid. They collapsed, twitching, then froze. Silence. The mirrored fountain cracked down the middle. From inside, not water, not light, but voices. Thousands. Overlapping. Whispering names. Prayers. Arguments. Screams. Children reciting the alphabet. Old women crying. Men laughing in slow reverse distortion. Jake covered his ears. "What is it?" Miles stared at the broken pieces. "It's all the people it's taken." Lena stepped forward. Or tried to take. One shard of mirror pulsed. She saw herself in it, but not a reflection. A version of her that stayed. A version of her who accepted the carousel. The child. The lie. Heather pulled her back. "No more." Behind them, the mall began to collapse. Not like a building falling down, but like a dream ending. The walls faded into static. Escalators turned into smoke. Storefronts folded inward like paper. Signs peeled off their surfaces and dissolved. The only thing left was the floor beneath them, and the red door at the end of a long hallway, the same door they had seen before. Jake looked at the others. "We end this." They walked together. Behind them, the mannequins turned to ash. The red door opened. They were standing in the mall parking lot. Midday, sunny, perfectly ordinary. No vines, no moss, no broken windows. Behind them, the mall, whole, boarded, silent. Heather blinked against the sunlight. "Is it real?" Jake dropped to his knees, felt the ground. Warm, dry. "I think so." Lena touched her own face. "I can feel my pulse." Miles looked around. No VHS tapes, no weird signage. Then he saw it. In the distance, a bench. On it, a backpack. He walked over, picked it up. Inside, their old items, Heather's necklace, Lena's sketchbook, Jake's photo, Miles's recorder, all returned, undamaged. At the bottom a note. "You left, but not all of you. Some parts stay." Miles slowly zipped the bag closed. "We got out," he said. "Did we?" Heather asked. They turned. The mall was gone. No building, just flat grass. And a single sign that read, "North Pines Development Site, Coming spring. 1999, weeks passed. They tried to forget. Heather moved to a different state. Lena took up teaching. Jake sold his car and got a dog. Miles swore off podcasting, but it didn't leave them. Jake heard mall music in the woods behind his house. Heather found a receipt in her purse from a store that hadn't existed in decades. Lena painted a portrait of a girl she didn't recognize, but whose face felt familiar. And Miles disappeared. Again, no warning, no message. Just gone. This time, there was no backpack, no note, only his voice, playing softly from Heather's answering machine. It's not done. It's opening again. North Pines wasn't a place. It was a template, a memory loop, and I think it's starting somewhere new. I think... Click. Silence. Jake visited the old site a month later. Now just grass, no mall, no parking lot. But something shimmered at the corner of his eye. A reflection. He turned. A mannequin, just one, stood where the fountain once was, wearing his jacket, smiling. Jake didn't scream. He just sat down in the grass and waited for the door to reopen. Cut to black text on screen. North Pines Retail District Grand Reopening, Fall 2025. You are invited, we remember. On a year more.